Oh, look at that. We're all connected already. Look at that. Wow, that was quick. Hey, everybody, what's up? Hey, you, get off of my couch. All right, so I just got a call, and I'm going to be taking Elijah to work. So I got to boogie out of here in about a half hour. I'll be back to finish this. Let's see. Let's make sure that this is rolling. Is it? I don't think it is. Huh. Something's broken. Why isn't it playing? Wait a minute. Something's happening. What is going on? Everything says it's connected. What's going on here? Let's double check all these. Something seems like it's a little off here. Is it playing? Stand by. Just gotta double check this stuff here. Nothing seems to be playing. Huh. Is it broken? Is it because I started early or something? What the heck? I don't get it. Rumble should be playing. It's all dead. Why is it doing that? It's saying that it just started and it's not. It's not actually doing anything. What the hell? Alright, hold on. Is nobody seeing me anywhere? Let's take a look. Is nobody seeing? Alright, so we're on Crusaders just fine. FTJMedia doesn't seem like it's playing. Something got screwed up. Usually I have to wait until about a minute after I set a time for it to play. And I said, screw it, we'll just go a little earlier since I have to do this thing. But it's not showing up on FTJMedia. It's just spinning. And Rumble's not playing. It's not playing. There it goes. Jesus. But it's still saying it's like just started. It's not playing. There it goes. Jesus. Yeah, finish this. It is all there. It just wasn't doing it. That's weird. Alright, well, I was seeing something completely different. That was really weird. Technical difficulties. Well, but good news. I think. So, I don't know. If you're just joining, I got the call from Rebecca, text message, asking me to take Elijah to work because she's in the middle of an order that she's doing for Spark. And I've got to go just bring up gymnastics and I'll be back to continue. So this will be a two-parter today. Yeah, that's about it. That's all I was going to say. We're going to get a little bit in and out and then we'll go from there. All right? Cool. Let's see. I did fix some stuff too. I'm pretty sure I worked with Gemini to correct my audio so that these things
think white and get serious
so that they don't echo anymore. Let's see. That's I labeled that one Spirit of Defiance. I used to have a channel, like a little small channel, where I showed the pew pews at the range, called Spirit of Defiance. But yeah, that was in the middle of a hurricane. Dude went out there with his it's a meme now. I think people use it a lot. So anyhow, if you haven't tried this, you probably should. This is just one of many. The website that you see right here. SemperFryLLC.com. If you are going to make an order, I highly recommend it now. Use FoodStar for 6% off. And also, it works on the creatine, which I already reduced as well. So, All that good stuff is happening. And let's see, I got to take that off. And let's get into it. I just got to make sure I get all these. Some things looks missing here. I need more of those fun clips, though. That's for sure. And now I have everything fixed. I think I did it. I can sometimes follow directions. I'm good at putting things together and figuring out how to put stuff together. That's it's one of my knacks. Like I always had to hook up everybody's computers and their VCRs and all that stuff back in the day when I was younger, or DVD players. I was called in to do the work. We need Dan. All right. So it says, add me on your Discord. I don't have a Discord, bro. I think you're talking to me. Hey, homie, I can share your stream, kick, and community. Yeah, then something about sending money. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. I'm not going to earn $1,000 per stream on Kick. Doesn't make any sense. It's not how that works. People like us are not allowed to make money on internet. But what I have set up for us for when I get back, since I may as well just do it all, the main chunk of this information when I get back. Trump officials cancel rule that made conservation a use of public lands. Yeah. Move comes as administration seeks to boost drilling, logging, mining, and grazing on taxpayer-owned land. They're going to steal the wealth out of the ground, destroy the environment, and here's the fun part about it. It's all privatized. This isn't they didn't nationalize anything. These what we call politicians, which are managers of the corporatocracy, they have their deals with these private corporations that take all of the wealth, all of the proceeds from what you own. If it's in the ground and you're of this country, it's yours. You know who taught us that? Muammar Gaddafi. Do you see how he ran his country? Nationalizing the oil and the natural resources, and everybody benefited from it. If you care about your people and you're a leader who actually cares about the prosperity of their country, you act like Muammar Gaddafi. When you are a parasite, a scoundrel, and someone who sells out millions upon millions, hundreds of millions of people for his cult, his Kabbalistic oy vey cult, then you do what they do. Privatize everything. It's going to be corporations, the oil oligarchs making all of the money, leaving you with the mess, and you'll be just as poor. That is not how a country is run. That's how a captured country by the Jewish banking cult runs. More on that later. But this is another travesty and another slap in the face. They're flat out telling you, your public land, federally protected land, you know, the whole reason why we have like conservation. Yeah, conservation is not a thing anymore. Yeah, just because. Why does he get to just dictate this stuff? Because everybody is in agreement, because it's not just him, it's the machine. He's the one who delivers the message, but the machine has already decided. N-word, what's up, buddy? Thank you, sir. I don't know if this is going to play now. No, it's just going to spin. Well, hopefully you guys can see it, because it's not spinning. It's just spinning for me. I'm just going to refresh it real quick. Yeah, it's still not going to play. Sometimes it does that. Oh, you know what? No, that's actually correct. Thank you very much, Edward Stillman. He is the producer for this Ballbusters broadcast. We are independent. This is an independent thing, like I was kind of just describing here. We don't get to have the happy fun time like over on Kick, where people just make shit tons of money. I would never be on Discord anyway. This new thing, it's not new, but I just learned about it, called pump.fun. I heard about it through the Chud the Builder thing. So that's just a place marker picture there, but I don't really understand it yet. But maybe I'll be streaming on there as well at some point. And Realmatic is in the house. Let's see what's up. Oh, actually, that was from last night. I think we got something going on here, though, don't we? 5 people watching. All right, cool. So there's that article there. I grabbed more. I'm just going to find them. This is probably a little bit older. Let's see. Tell the Trump administration to keep this landmark conservation rule in place. And it says the last remaining undeveloped lands within our national forests provide home for wildlife, filter drinking water, provide recreational opportunities, and contain. Yeah, but there's not going to be any place to run. There's not going to be any place to enjoy. Go on hiking, go do rock climbing, or hike a mountain, go on a trail, go fishing, hang out in the woods. There's not going to be anything to there will be no cover for the drones because it's a lot harder to annihilate you when there's trees to have to dodge. This idea of I'm just going to disappear out into the nope. And what I always say is like if they could find farmers in remote locations all throughout Russia, the Bolsheviks could do that without the aid of modern technology. How good do you think that plan of evading them and not being part of the society is going to work? First of all, they would have to let you do that. Be an outlier. They're not going to. This cult wants you dead. And everything, it seems like every bit of life in America, plant, animal, and human, is marked for a genocidal destruction by this cult of child sacrifice. They told you who they are. We did nothing in response yet. And now they're coming in for the kill because we made it clear to them that we're not going to do anything about it. Well, so far, that's the impression that they've gotten. We endured a lockdown and a destruction of our livelihood. We didn't really have a choice because the wave of everybody else complying pulls us along with it. If something closes, you have to close along with it, especially if you're like me and I had my store in a state park, state run. State decided to shut down. The property managers are a third party who manages the restaurants and the stores and all that for the state. But when the state made the decision, we were all told we had to close. And yeah, nothing ever came back as strongly, not even close, from what it was before the trauma of the event and the embedded lies and deception and doubt in people's minds, not to mention the disposable income of most people just evaporating. And if it was bad then, just think about what it is like now. Everybody who understood the way the world worked and how to navigate it, everything's changing. Everything's changing. And some things are not adaptable. You can't stick and move and bob and weave for all of this stuff. It's forcing us to have to take greater action. And you're not seeing anything that I'm reading here. So hold on one second. So it's like, did I ever change that? It appears not. Okay, there we go. So, yeah, the last remaining undeveloped land within our national forests provide homes for wildlife, filter drinking water, provide recreational opportunities, and contain magnificent old-growth forests that absorb and store carbon, helping us to fight. That part is retarded. This is somebody still drinking the freaking Kool-Aid. If we develop these lands with new roads and logging, we will lose all those benefits and worsen the ongoing biodiversity and climate crisis. Yeah, it doesn't matter. See, we still have a climate czar in John Kerry to the UN. Why that's even a position, why that's even a thing, why we even have that connection to obligating ourselves to doing insanely self-destructive, suicidal things in order to preserve something that's a lie in the first place. It's all about just losing everything and becoming a servant to the Oive masters as they have intended. 2,800 each. Well, that means there's going to be a whole lot of people croaked. And I don't think that's a viable number anyway. 2,800 slaves. I'm not really down with a rapey, child killing type person being a master. It says, and that is what the Trump administration is lining up to do. Following up on promises to ramp up logging, including clear cutting across federal forests, the administration has announced plans to obliterate the roadless rule, a landmark land conservation policy that has protected many of the most pristine backcountry areas of the national forest system against costly and harmful road building and logging since 2001. Oh, wow. That is beautiful. That looks like it's in Oregon. It is in Oregon. See, I could tell just by the moss growth because they get enough rain there. It's a rainforest area, just not a tropical rainforest. I lived in Astoria, and I used to hike. I used to hike Saddle Mountain. I think it was in. It looks like the word only, but it's Olny or something or EY. There's a Saddle Mountain, and there's lots of elk out there, but there's ferns. You need lots of water for ferns. There's this moss that's covering every tree like this. It's really, really something. Is that it? That's all I had to say? No. We need you to... Oh, is this a petition? Or something. I don't know. Yeah. It is like a petition. That's interesting. We need you to defend the forest protections. We have fought so hard. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what we're going to do. This is not how it works with a petition anymore. A lot of people have to show up in unison, in solidarity. You know what I mean? People have to show up and say no in person. This writing a passive dismissive letter, it doesn't work anymore. You don't, like, if you understood the gravity of how much this thing that we look at and we think is just Israel, like how wickedly evil they behave over there, that is exactly what has run our country for, well, let's see, when was 1865? You know what I mean? And that is what had to be here first before they could go through the process of putting a Federal Reserve in here, sending $20 million in U.S. gold to fund the Bolsheviks so that they can mass murder 60 million Russians and go on a kill crazy rampage and start wars and all this other shit. This is all because of our doing. Not the Americans, but what was the result of the loss in the Civil War. It was a banking war. They had Americans murdering each other on both sides. They incorporated in 1871, making us all property, making us fictitious entities, making us devoid of all true rights. And they let you think that you have them because it's a lot easier to manage a population that doesn't freak out because they're not even aware that they're under new management. And this is how it's been going. And since they've been sending us out to, destroy and conquer on their behalf all these territories. But just to remind you, though, Israel is simply a growth on the side of America's head. It's not Israel that dictates. They just happen to have a large concentration of those entities of this supremacy cult there barking orders, but they're, if you want to consider them the 51st state, okay, the favored state. Any place that, in any of the actions that we've taken since, well, let's just go with post Federal Reserve, 1913. Who have they been in the interest of? How much history was destroyed in people have lost their lives since the Civil War and then the Spanish influenza, which was a vaccine holocaust post World War I. whole generations and bloodlines wiped the hell out. Who do you think who does that favor? It favors somebody who actually hates the ethnic Europeans, but they'll gladly have us fight their wars for them. And then when we become no more of no more use, and they've sucked all the wealth out of us, is what we're actually doing right now. This is that sucking it dry thing that Netanyahu said, I think in the early 90s. That's what we do with countries that we hate. We suck them dry, that type of thing, because they're parasites. They're going to get every little bit left out of us. The data centers may or may not be mixed use, technological on one side, detainment centers and horrific torture on the other. Famine, there's people talking about the oil being completely cut off in 45 days. Like that'll be the end of it. There's all kinds of things that we have to consider, but we have to become aware that it's not because it's over there, it's because it's right here. And that entity, this hive-minded hydra that is in control of every lever of government, quote unquote government, in their corporatocracy fashion in which they do it, they appoint those who deliver the lines, but it's not the will of. They're just the messenger, but they're still a piece of shit. They're working for it. They're assigned those positions and those roles as politicians for a reason. And most of them, if not all, have a connection directly to the cult of supremacy that we talk about, the Oives, or the Saturn cult, Kabbalists. You want to call them Zionists, that's a portion of them, but the whole thing is the Jewish banking cult and all of the things that they touch and poison. They already had us. That's why Israel could be made. That's why their crimes don't get punished. That's why Lansky can have a long career and send all this money to Israel and do all the casino shit. And that's why we get stuck in shit like Bay of Pigs and the Cuban Missile Crisis, because they have that much power, because they run us to try to get rid of Castro, because they were pissed at Castro over getting rid of the casinos. The Northwoods proposal, that was, where do you think that came from? How anti-American and anti-national, nationalistic mind is that? Let's just start blowing up people in Miami and blame it on Castro. That way we'll get the Americans ready for a war. That's insane. Well, they did that in 9/11. They do that with every false flag. They want to either push an agenda to take away your guns, push an agenda to, you to give up your freedoms for some other thing, the TSA crap. All this is them digging their talons deeper and deeper and deeper into us, to our backs, and to whatever else they clamp onto. So I have got a lot to say about that, and we'll do that later. Executive orders direct a massive expansion of logging on public lands. Yes, they do. President Trump issued 2 executive orders to dramatically expand logging across federal public forests under the pretenses of enhancing national security. Of course, yes, because those trees were plotting against Trump. So this is the lack of logic here. You have people like Bill Gates saying the very thing that utilizes carbon dioxide. Even carbon dioxide isn't the fucking problem. Lack of clean oxygen and air period that their industrial bullshit spews out, that's more of a problem. A freaking volcano causes more greenhouse gases in one event than all of the cars and all of the history of mankind put together. It's not, and that's a natural event. The world can stabilize itself. That's what it's intended for. It's not that fragile. But if you teach people that they have to be like micromanaging and trying to fix something that's not broken, and fix it until it's broken, well, then you have all these people who think that they know something about science, and they'll tell you you're an idiot. They don't realize they're being manipulated by people who literally want you dead. We talk about bringing the carbon to zero, which means kill everybody. And now it's not. He even backpedaled. You have the climate freak show with the vaccinator Gates saying, well, that's not really the priority. Not if it affects the value of people's lives. We have to be a little bit more rational about our approach to climate change. He didn't get rid of the climate change concept, but he's doubling back his data centers because their logic has no logic, and it goes right it's right in the face of what they've been saying all along about how we have to reduce all of what we do. Meanwhile, data centers are going to be producing all kinds of crap. They're going to be heating up the environment like dramatically. If that was really their issue or concern, which it wasn't, and they're basically showing that they're full of shit. It's all about managing and controlling and oppressing. Because when they want to do something, they have nothing stopping them. 10-year, what is it called? Without regulations. You can't regulate anything that they do for the data centers and AI for the first 10 years, which most of us won't be here in 10 years. Most of us might not be here in 2 years. But anyway, I have to go here soon, so we'll get more into this later. But Trump also said that it's okay to kill Alaskan polar bears to get to oil. This is just I don't know where Al Gore is on that one. Remember Al Gore and the polar bear floating away on the little piece of ice? Yeah. So we'll roll into this a little bit more when I get back. I didn't know I was going to be called upon, but family comes first, so we'll just go ahead and do that, and I'll come back here. A racist streamer shot a black man. See what I mean? Like, this is what we were talking about yesterday. The viewers rewarded him handsomely. Oh, yeah? He's looking at a attempted murder charge when he was defending himself, and we went into this in depth. I'll touch back on that when I get back too. There's quite a few little interesting things I picked up. There's a whole lot. Let me just go ahead and ask my stepson real quick if he's ready. I'll play this in the meantime. Make sure I'm on the right spot. I am. Okay, cool.
The Bureau of Land Management today issued its final decision to revoke bison grazing permits for 7 allotments in Phillips County held by American Prairie. It's a story we've been following since Interior Secretary Doug Burgum proposed canceling the permits back in January. Tonight we'll hear reaction from those impacted on both sides. But first, a look back at what led to today's decision. For more than 20 years, American Prairie land in north central Montana has been a home where the buffalo roam.
Right now we have right around 940 bison.
Of American Prairie's 600,000-acre footprint, bison graze in southern Phillips County.
Bison are on 2 properties, totaling about 50,000 acres.
Since July of 2022, the animals have had access to thousands of acres of Bureau of Land Management grazing allotments on American Prairie's Sun Prairie and White Rock units.
We've been working on this for over 20 years.
Leslie Robinson is president of the Montana Stock Growers Association, one of the groups opposed to the permits.
American Prairie has always been clear from the beginning that they have a conservation herd. It's not production agriculture. And BLM lands are under the Taylor Grazing Act. And the Taylor Grazing Act is for production livestock.
We are producing a lot of bison on the landscape.
But American Prairie Landscape Stewardship Director Scott Heiderbrink says the herd is managed for more than just conservation.
We have either harvested or shipped out 48% of the 2,100 bison we have raised in the past 20 years. We harvest a number of bison every year with the public, for food banks, things like that.
The permits were granted under the Biden administration, and Heiderbrink feels the recent move is politically motivated.
It does feel a little targeted at American Prairie.
This is not personal against American Prairie. This is, if anyone is using the law incorrectly, then that's what we're doing.
They haven't looked into what our actual practices are, what kind of managers we are, and what our bison are being used for.
It's a case that could be in for a long, drawn-out court battle.
We're confident that this is the right thing, and it's not necessarily what we're doing, it's the law.
American Prairie says losing the permits would be another in a long line of challenges, but they have contingencies.
As a large landowner, we have access to grass. So we have deeded lands where there are currently not bison that we can stock bison.
Robinson says much of the opposition to American Prairie stems from the organization buying up large chunks of land in the Treasure State.
If they do what they want to do, then it will have a huge impact on certain rural communities, economically and culturally.
Heiderbrink says he's unfazed by the anti-American Prairie signs, and while he doesn't try to change people's minds, he welcomes the chance to educate naysayers.
And we want to have those really strong relationships with our neighbors. I don't need anybody to put up an American Prairie sign. I just want to sit down and have a cup of coffee with you.
Tonight, American Prairie is condemning the BLM's decision to revoke bison grazing rights. The group says those rights have supported the organization's bison herd on public lands in north central Montana for the past 20 years. And they believe this is a politically motivated decision that threatens decades of established public land management practice and jeopardizes bison restoration efforts nationwide.
Yeah, the worst of the BLMs is the Bureau of Land Management. Cooper talked about them 30 years ago, 25 years ago, whatever it was. They strong arm people off their land. The whole reason why they had things going on with Ammon Bundy and his family and the Bundy Ranch and all that. It's all through that. Theft of land, just being freaking antagonistic against farmers and ranchers for the sake of it. There's nothing American about the politicians, about them. We need to just start calling them the corporate managers. The Congress, the president, these aren't real things. These are spokesmen for the corporation, for the corporations who pretend to be a government, and then they create other corporations with plug-in CEOs whom they draft themselves. Or when you have things like Palantir, it just comes right out of CIA, but the CIA has limitations, so they create a corporation, they call it Palantir, and they throw some idiots on top of it, and that's who runs those. Nothing about what you see is what it seems. It's all an extension of government. They're all government tools, and all of that wouldn't even be such a horrible thing if their aggressions and their malice wasn't pointed inward. If they were just that slick and they were defending against an actual enemy, they are the enemy everywhere in every country. And if they've acquired that territory through a banking, I actually have to go, through planting a bank and a central bank in their country, and they run all their resources, natural resources out to sell off and basically siphon that country dry. That they run and operate. They have the control over those countries. There's not actual true enemies. There may actually be resistance in Russia and Iran, but the places that are actually independent or nationalistic, I don't even think there is any anymore, besides those last two. I mean, we could try to get together and do that ourselves here. I mean, there's plenty of really good examples in history. The only thing that survives is their nationalism. I'm going to actually talk about the Judas Goat when I get back. I've got some stuff to read to you from there. There's another book I have. Let me see. We're going to talk about Darwin and human evolution. It all kind of ties in because of how you got to understand how they treat us and what they think of us. And that makes a big difference on how you might view them. Okay, we'll be back for part 2. SemperFiLLC.com. This is the Toba. Toba was a huge extinction level event that occurred about, according to them, 60,000 years ago. It was like a what they call it, an Indonesian volcanic eruption. So that's why I call it Toba supervolcano here. And if you look in the link, you'll find the Azure Living Well, or you can go to Semper Fi and just click the one that says Azure. You get code PB5, you get the 90 essential nutrients. That's the core copper, whole food multivitamin, and the IP6 Supreme. The other ones that you would need for the 90 essentials would be the Fulvic-Humic blend, which is a 3-month supply, and that's all your minerals. That's like one of the most important things. And then also the essential fatty acids that you get from the Alaskan cod liver oil. Use code PB5. There's other things on the site. If you go into the search, they have the amygdalin or B17, what some people call Latril. That's like a brand name. They have that, and they also have that Baja salt. And I'm sure if you looked at other things, the BB5 code should work on everything. All right. I'll see you in a little bit. I am eager to get back into this discussion, so don't worry. I will be. Mike Garland, what's up, buddy?